Everyone, it's Lindsey Vasquez,
And JD.
and we are with the Gold Arrow Real Estate team. And today we are going to be giving you a market update for the Fresno area. And this is going to give you information from February all the way up until yesterday, May 26th. So this is going to be live information about the various markets around the Central Valley. We're going to be sharing information with you specifically for Fresno, specifically for Clovis. We're going to do Madera, and then we have one group created for all of you South Valley friends that includes Kingsburg, Selma, Reedley, and Sanger all in one category. So we can't wait to share this information with you and help you interpret what's going on in the market. So we are going to go ahead and share our screen with you so that you can see our beautiful graphics and see the numbers visually. So this is for the city of Fresno, and all the information that you're seeing on these slides is for single family homes only. On the far left, you can see that we have our data from February, March, April, and then May, just the 1st of May through yesterday, the 26th. And we're gonna be talking about on this slide, what's going on with the amount of properties for sale, pending, and sold. So a property that's for sale is a property that is active on the market. Pending means it has an accepted offer and they're in escrow, and sold means it has closed escrow in this month. So as we look at these numbers, looking at the for sale column, from February to March, mid-March was when we saw all of the shelter in place start to happen, and so we did see numbers start to drop off a little bit, but then look what happened in April. We definitely picked up a little bit. We have dropped a little bit in May, but usually what happens at the end of a month, especially as we're getting closer to the end of spring, beginning of summer, we're going to hopefully start to see more properties come on the market and for sale. So we'll definitely be watching that category and seeing what happens at the end of this month. Pendings that's so exciting. Everyone's been asking us, are things still selling? And yes, they are. So back in February, Fresno saw 386 pendings. And it stayed pretty consistent, dropped a little bit in April, and in May, we are up. We are up from where we were pre-COVID with, so far for the month, 421 pendings. And keep in mind, that does not include the entire month of May yet. For solds, what you'll typically see is a lot of escrows will close at the end of a month, and that's just based on various interest on loans and mortgages. So typically we'll see a lot of properties close at the end of a month. So today's the 27th, so 27th, 29th up until Friday, we'll probably see a significant number of more properties being sold. So I expect that number to get back up easily into the 300s. So we'll have to kind of watch that and see what happens.
And we'll also, escrows typically take a period of 30 days. So even though everything was sold, March sold like in February or March or April, those escrows opened up the previous month before. So you can kind of see the numbers based off of that. So in April, based off of looking at this for May, it would look like in April, not as many things went into escrow, which may be true because of COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. So in April, the amount of properties that were sold was down from 389 to 312. So that's a really good indication that when all the shelter in places started to go into effect back in March, a lot of people maybe decided not to sell or decided not to buy. And so 30 days later in April, we see that decrease in the number of properties that sold. So super interesting. And what's crazy is we've seen a big change with the days on market on properties because there aren't as many properties for sale now. So do you want to touch on these?
Yeah, sure. So typically, as you can see, well, in February, the average day on market was 49. That means that was the period of time that a property was listed before it went into escrow. So you can see, looking from February to May, that number has decreased significantly. And we're seeing properties go super, super fast, and it's still interesting because everyone's, we're getting a lot of questions like, well, what's going on with COVID? Is it still moving? Yes, and things are moving very quickly.
Yeah, the interesting thing too is when you think about a property going on the market and until accepting an offer at 49 days, that's over 30 days. So you're looking at paying 2 mortgage payments in that time period. Now with the average days on market for May, and keep in mind that we haven't finished the month yet, down at 28. So we're now below 30 days on market from the day that the property goes from listing until an accepted offer. So people are maybe even paying one less mortgage payment now during the sales process, which is pretty exciting. The average sold price has been fluctuating back and forth. I mean, if you were to take a solid average of between February and May, you'd be right around like 303, I think 303,000 sold. Yeah, so it's staying pretty steady. We've seen things bump up and down. Of course, if you have a couple $1 million properties sell in 1 month, that can definitely skew the average a little bit.
Yeah, let's keep in mind this is just Fresno too, so these numbers are exclusive to that.
Yeah. And then average price per square foot, it definitely ticked up in April from $172 a square foot to $177. We're back around $175 a square foot right now. So, you know, pretty great. It's holding consistent with everything on the market.
I think these numbers too reflect also the inventory on the market. So it ticked up a bit in April, and I think that's because we didn't have as many homes on the market. Starting in May, we're seeing a little bit more. We're seeing, you know, those listings come up a little bit. So that price per square foot decreases a tiny bit just based off of how many properties are actually available.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at Madera. Madera had much fewer homes for sale, but it's got a lower population, so that's to be expected. So that's again the number of properties for sale in February, and then in March, you know, they're 165, 181. Dropped a little bit in April, and wow, May has really taken a hit for properties for sale in Madera. You know, maybe we'll get some more on the market here before the close of the month. But if you're thinking about selling in Madera, the numbers are indicating that it's a great time for you to sell, because the fewer properties on the market means there is less competition for you when you list your property.
And it's super interesting, the numbers between Madera and Fresno, because Fresno is kind of going the other direction and Madera is. They're decreasing the number of homes that they have for sale when, yeah, definitely a great time to sell there.
Absolutely. And the pendings really support that, because in February, you had more properties listed than you do in May. And in May, there's more than 30 pendings than there were in February. So if you're listing in Madera, you're pretty much
guaranteed to get multiple offers.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna go pending pretty quickly. And then sold properties, again, like average of like 53 between February, March, April. May is at 34. You know, it's definitely possible that between now and Friday, you'll see at least 20 more properties go get sold in the month of May. So, all right. So what do you think about this?
So, I mean, this is real interesting. Look at the February and March. That average days on market that's over 2 months.
Yeah, you're looking at three mortgage payments.
Yeah, 3 mortgage payments there. Yeah. And then in April, it picked up, and you can see that there's not a lot of inventory. And it's totally supported by this, because that average days drops like crazy and goes from 65 to 40 in May. So, I mean, that's still 2 mortgage payments, but the homes aren't lasting out there. So
yeah, there's a significant decrease in that. And you know, the average price per square foot in Madera is a little funny on this one, because you see it takes a giant leap in April, and that could be due to the lack of inventory and so,
a couple high priced
you know, over offer asking, bumping that up. So I'll be curious to see how Madera finishes out their average price per square foot for May, since it looks like it's taken a significant decrease since the beginning of the month. So curious to see how that's going to pan out. So Clovis is up next. So JD and I both live in Clovis. So these numbers are always fun to look at for us as well. So you can definitely see that the number of homes for sale has,
well, it went up and then
it went up and then it went down. And we're feeling that. We've got a lot of buyers that are out there looking for property right now, and they're just not enough properties for what they're looking for, not enough inventory out there. Same thing as Madera, though. The number of pendings has increased, though, since February. So there's a greater chance of, if you list, a greater chance that you're going to go pending. Again, solds is down, but you know, easily we can get another 20 closings in Clovis today through Friday to see that number pick up. And the numbers aren't that far off. I mean, obviously, April took a little bit dip in closings just because it was following the 30 days of the shelter in place. May, we're still like about 30 to 45 days out, middle of May from the shelter in place. So we could still see a dip in solds. So I'm kind of interested to see where that's going to go. But we've definitely got buyers out there still shopping. So what do you think about the days on market? Because this blew me away.
Yeah, look at this. February was 62 was an average day on market, and it drops significantly. May, 20 days, less than a month. And honestly, like we're seeing that on our end. The buyers that we're showing right now, a lot of times we're going in on competition, so we have to be really strong with offer because they're just offers because there isn't enough inventory, and the homes aren't lasting. They're not sitting on the market. So yeah, they're just going super quick. And then you can see the average sold price too. Clovis is significantly higher than Fresno or Madera in their average sold price, but I mean, it's the area, location, and there are more high priced homes in Clovis, and Fresno has a greater mix. So this is pretty significant in the average though, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's interesting because just based on population, Madera and Clovis are a lot fewer than Fresno, and it looks like their numbers are kind of trending very similar, even in terms of price per square foot, and seeing how those numbers kind of pan out. So just kind of interesting to see that. So South Valley, this is again Kingsburg, Selma, Sanger, and Reedley. We've got a lot of friends out there, been selling properties out there recently, and so we want to look at these numbers. So what are we seeing out there?
So it looks a little more consistent for them. You know, they had 268 in February, well, not ending May yet. We'll see how it ends, but 251. So it seems that those areas have been a little more consistent. However, in the pending, it's increased. So there's more people going into contract during this time. It jumps up from 106 in February to May, which is in a regular market. That's common to see, especially this time of year. February, the colder months, you know, people aren't shopping as much. And then in May and the summer months, it starts to pick up. Kids are getting out of school. People are shopping for new homes. The solds, though, is super interesting. So, I mean, 106, and then March and April was pretty average. May is not over yet, but I don't think that we're going to get up to 127 in May.
Yeah, it's very interesting because you see that in April we had 127 go pending. So how many of those are going to do a 30-day escrow and get closed before the end of the month? So May could be a lower month in terms of solds, and we could see that reflected in closings maybe the beginning of June. So interesting to kind of watch that. And then their days on market blew me away too.
Yep, they're doing the same thing. It started out at 67, which is like, you know,
over 3 months of mortgage
payments, and then they shot down to 37. So it's doing great. There still isn't enough listings in those cities. And then looking at the average sold price, they're a little more consistent. You know, you can see that it doesn't fluctuate too much. February and May are almost exactly the same. So super interesting. And then their price per square foot does fluctuate a little bit. And I'm actually surprised that in May it's down. That's surprising to me.
I am too, with the lack of inventory, but it's the correlation between average sold price and average price per square foot is almost direct. When you've got your lower sales prices, you have a lower average price per square foot. So maybe there's just lower priced homes that sold in those months.
That's what it looks like. It looks like a lot of the lower priced inventory in those South Valley cities were listed, and that's what's getting into contract instead, because we see that with the average for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now there's been a lot of questions out there. Is it a good time to sell? Is it a good time to buy? I do all the listings on our team, and as you can see with the numbers, it is definitely a good time to sell. Inventory is low. The average price per square foot is up. The days on market is down. So it's a really good chance that you will be able to get your property into contract very soon. And in terms of buyers, like, what's the reason out there? Like, you're working with a lot of buyers. Why are they buying right now?
Interest rate. Totally interest rate. It is like, we're still seeing one of the lowest interest rates that we've had in a really long time. And we don't know. I mean, everybody can speculate what's going to happen with those interest rates, but you know, there's a lot of speculation that eventually they're going to go back up. So take advantage right now if you have the means to, and especially with those first-time home buyers. For a little bit, we saw a lot of those programs go away with the first-time home buyers. Just talking to some lenders, they tightened up the lending guidelines, and they are probably still a little bit tighter for some people. It really depends on your credit and things like that. There's a lot of factors that go into it. But if you are thinking about buying and just don't know and haven't looked into it, just talk to a lender. And if you need recommendations, let me know, because interest rates are still super, super low. So if you could take advantage of it, definitely do. Also, great time to refinance.
Gotcha. So if you're out there and you have any questions about the market that we didn't address here today, you can just leave us a comment on this video and we will definitely get to your questions. You can send us a private message. You can always call us. Our team line is 559-202-3622. We're more than happy to get you a neighborhood snapshot. You can even drop your email and a private message to us as well with your address, and we will send you a market snapshot of what's going on in your neighborhood, whether you're thinking of buying in that neighborhood or whether you're thinking of selling. So thanks for joining us today, and we will definitely be updating you next month.
Thank you.